The assignment that you all participated in, of course, you remember writing a metaphor. And I was just stunned at how good they were. I only created a couple of metaphors for my own life in the last 10 years or so, and I'm 65. So the reason I think it's important, because if you want to get a job someday, or you want to pursue a career, or you want to go to graduate school, often in an interview, or it could be in your initial letter of application, you'll want to tell about yourself. But some of the first things you need to realize would be, let's suppose we all are above average, okay? And so let's pick a GPA of, we all have a 3.5 or something like that. And you're applying for, how many want to go into the health professions? Or thinking about something like that? So raise your hand again. Oh, okay. How many into the social services? Something along those lines. Maybe fewer. Okay. How many something to do with athletics? A few. Teaching? Okay, quite a few. Okay. So you are applying for something. Could be a teaching job, could be a grad school, and you write your letter. And you all have, let's say, a 3.5. And what else sets you apart? What makes you so special? You've all had some science courses, almost no matter what your major, right? And you've had general psych and general soc, and you've had a math course or two. And so far, I've got 50 applications for this job or this graduate school position. And I don't know how to, I have a committee of 3 people that are going to look at all these letters and applications. And so you can see what I'm building up to here. So you all have this undergraduate training, and you all have a good grade point, and you've had very similar coursework. Something has to set you apart. So on one hand, you could think, well, he's just wanting us to think of a gimmick to make me stand out. It could be that. It could be that simple. But something, you have to make yourself distinctive in some way, so that maybe you can get in the top 10 candidates. When I came here, I think you interviewed maybe 4 people, and it may be secret information how many people applied. I don't know how many applied, but more than 4 people, I'm hoping. That reminds me of a funny, I engage in a sporting activity that's kind of distasteful to some people. I shoot guns at targets for time and accuracy. And so my wife and kids make fun of me for doing such crazy things, but I occasionally come home with a medal. So far, I've only won 3rd and 2nd place in my categories. And my wife is very cynical. She'll say, so how many were in this group of yours? And invariably, up to this point, I'm getting better, I feel. Invariably, there may have only been 3 in my category, and I got 3rd place. All right. But if you can get into this pool of candidates that are selected to come and have a further conversation or submit additional information or something, to me, that's what I want to accomplish tonight. And you don't have to finish this product. I'm going to maybe read just a few highlights here, or maybe even ask someone to stand and read their own, or make up a new one, or tell their own. But I think that if you will create something like a metaphor, that will convey that you're in this for more than just a paycheck. You don't want to just come in and check in at 9 o'clock and punch the clock and walk out at 4 o'clock. Or, I mean, maybe you do. Those jobs are needed and certainly valuable. But typically, when you're in a college setting, you're after more than a traditional factory job or Burger King job. Absolutely nothing wrong with those things. But typically, we might think we want to do more. So I think that if you will create some statements, it could be more than one. In my case, in my mind, I have some generalized thoughts about things I like to do. So one is swimming. I'm okay with just swimming laps, but I really prefer to get out in a big body of water, like across the Mississippi River, or swim in the Great Lakes, not the whole lake, Great Lakes, but just a small little portion of the Great Lakes. Or do something that's really, really challenging. Or I like to shoot, competitive shooting. I like to fly an airplane. I'll use this word, and I know those of you who are real, this word will resent me using it, but I like to think that I'm a musician, but I play drums. So I know all the jokes about bass players, and drummers usually are. There was one metaphor in here about a bass player that I like, but I know we're kind of low on the totem pole of musicianship. But I like to think of metaphors related to things that I like to do. And I'll tell you a couple of my metaphors. So one is when I've interviewed for jobs, they'll say, what is your, I'm an administrator. So primarily I meddle in the lives of innocent professors and other deans and faculty members and sometimes staff. But I try to put a good spin on being an administrator. And so I have a metaphor of being a band leader. Have any of you ever played in a band? And did your band stick together with the same members for tens of years, 5s of years? Typically, playing in an intense situation as a team, could be, basketball team, baseball team, all sorts of good sports metaphor. But typically, bands have some very individualistic people in them. And every one of us in a band often feels that I'm about the best drummer around in this little mind of mine, okay? And the trumpet player or the guitar player or whatever the instruments are, we each kind of have to feel that way for you to have nerve to get up in front of a group and perform and expose yourself to whether you're really all that good or not. It takes a certain attitude, you might say, to get up and, even like tonight, to have the audacity to talk to some really above average students. So my metaphor for being an administrator related to being a musician is that I'm the band leader and I'm going to hire, as an administrator, but a band leader too, I'm going to hire the best musicians, even a drummer, percussionist, the best that I can find. Now some people, to me that tells you that I'm not threatened by the very best people. It really makes your game better. If you are playing on a team sport or any sort of a team, I advise you to get the very best and you will look better and sound better. So number one, I'm going to hire the very best people. And then number two, I'm going to select songs that I think will highlight those skills. And then number three, I'm going to have the good sense to when you get up and do your solo on the violin or sax or whatever it is, we're going to diminish the clamor and the sound of all the musicians in the background, and she's going to do her virtuoso so that she is really in the spotlight. And then when she comes back to earth after she's drifted off in La La Land doing her solo, if it's like a jazz combo or something, you want them to feel the freedom to explore new heights as a musician. And she doesn't have to worry because, of course, she's got the world's best drummer behind her. And when she comes back to earth, we're not going to miss a beat. Okay? So when I hire faculty, staff, or musicians, I want the very best. They can float off and do whatever they want, and they can be assured that they're going to have a rock solid, steady beat in the background, keeping it going. See? Pretty impressive. Good metaphor. Tolerable? Okay. Okay. Another one might be as I fly a plane. Occasionally, my family will even tolerate a small aircraft. I don't know if you've been in little planes, but they can be kind of bumpy and kind of uncomfortable. And you're squeezed into a tight compartment. And, oh yeah, there's life and death involved, and in the hands of somebody that's not a professional pilot. So it's all the things that I like in life. It's risky, it's fast, goes a couple hundred miles an hour, 25,000 feet, and once you're up, taking off can be tricky, and once you land, that's a tricky part too. But once you're up in the air, turn on the autopilot and listen to tunes and pay attention to what you're doing, but not too bad. But it's still, your precious loved ones, your family might be with you, and it can be risky. But I like to think that if you're a good pilot, you can carefully plan. Let's say I'm using it as a metaphor for an administrator. I'm going to carefully plan each trip. And am I just going to have one destination where I'm going to land at a little airport near Chicago? Well, you need a destination. Just like in life, I would advise you to pick one, but always know that you can change that plan, that destination. So I have an airport planned. I have a car. I called rent a car, and they're going to have a car waiting for me. So I've made some commitments. The weather looks good. The window of time is sufficient. I have enough fuel. I can get there. But you always have a backup plan. And this is my metaphor as a lesson for life for anyone. You need an alternative. When I file a flight plan with the FAA, they want to know, what is your alternative airport? The first time I saw that, I said, I don't need an alternative airport. It's big, it exists, it's there. They know I'm coming. But, of course, in pilot training, you learn that you run out of fuel, the weather changes, the winds, you use more fuel than you thought you would. Things happen almost invariably. So you need to have some flexibility and adaptability to the current situations. So I like to think that when I apply for a job, and even at my age recently, I have applied for jobs, and that would convey to a search committee or a review committee that I can plan carefully, try to execute that plan, but always be prepared with alternatives. Okay? Another pretty good metaphor, huh? Who has the temerity to come up here and either read one that they wrote or to convey one to the audience? And so far, you haven't offered any harsh criticisms to me, so I think I can assure you that if you're willing to say, I think I've got a good one, and just ask this group, what do you think? Got one?
No.
Oh.
I'd love to, but we're struggling.
What did you write? Which one did you write?
I wrote Live Fast, Die Hard.
And leave a beautiful there's a country song about almost every statement like that. But there's a great country song about live fast, die hard, and leave a beautiful memory. Would you like to
Elaborate?
elaborate?
I'd
Go ahead. I'll stand right here beside you. Yeah, sure.
For my life motto, I did live fast, die hard, because we only have one life. So, I mean, I'm not gonna want to be 80 years old and be like regretting like I didn't do this, I didn't do that. Like I just want to have a good time, have some fun, get the most out of life I can. You know, when I die, not be upset with this stuff like that I passed by.
Yeah.
Try new things.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Now, if we were to offer a criticism, one might say, well, he might be a little bit too happy-go-lucky. He might be too much of a risk taker. And so I feel almost exactly the same way. I like to take risks if they're calculated. I'm willing to try almost anything. I don't think I will ever jump out of an airplane that's working, with the parachute and all that. I don't think I could. I have some real limitations that I just can't overcome. But the approach is energetic. It conveys many good messages that you're willing to really, like you say, some folks at 90 or 100 years old, I used to use 70 and 80, but I'm 65 now, so I say 90, 100 years, and they're sitting around and they'll say, man, I wish I'd have tried this or that and the other. I honestly have tried everything that I wanted to, that I thought was even halfway reasonable risk to engage in, and some that, looking back, were way stupid. But would anybody else like to get up and expose themselves, metaphorically? Is the mic on? Yeah, okay. Do I have tenure? I do have tenure. Yeah, okay. Anybody else? Yep.
I didn't put names on, so you
I know. Which one was yours?
The Stardust one.
I think that was towards the end.
Stardust. This, well, I won't prejudice your view, but you just listen.
I am Stardust. It sounds like something from a children's story, I agree. But keeping this in mind both humbles and empowers me, a powerful paradox. Stars are composed of hydrogen, helium, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, silicon, magnesium, neon, iron, and sulfur. Of these 10 elements, 8 are also present in the human body. We are composed of what stars are made of, and although anyone of average knowledge of chemistry knows that there are a few key elements that make up the world as we know it, to compare my weak human body to a star blazing light years away fills me with appreciation for life and its complexity, knowing that at the roots it is all very simple.
Good. Now, wait. Now, what if you were to add maybe anything to it? Have you thought in retrospect after you wrote that? Have you thought, I wish I'd added this, or was it perfect in every way? You think it covered all
It
this?
was perfect. I wrote it and I went
And talk.
and I went back a few hours later before I sent the email, and I reread it, and I think it was
Pretty well
perfect.
nailed it? Mm-hmm. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Do you want me to remind a few of it? One was a tiny fish. One was, okay. Which one was yours?
Where did I do this?
Do you remember what was yours was about?
It was, I kind of quoted someone. I was talking about. No.
Life is a
I
journey.
wrote about.
Life is a river.
when I see it. I remember most of it if it's on here. All right. I just remember most of it.
Okay. We couldn't find his, but he's going to try to remember.
Mine was kind of a quote more so from John Wooden, if you know who that is, like UCLA basketball coach. And it was like, don't let what you can't do hinder what you can do. And pretty much just means like, if there's something you can't do in life, don't let that affect you so much that you can't do the things that you know you're good at. So I just thought that was good to live by.
Good. So would it be fair to say that if you are trying to create something like this, you should try to stay on some solid ground, which to me means talk about something you know something about. So whether it's sports, music, religion, it could just be anything. But as soon as someone questions me just one question about music or being a band leader or a pilot or a swimmer, I mean, it gives me the chill to think of it. What if they asked me a probing question as a follow-up to my metaphor? Well, in my case, of course, I'm an expert in all those things, so I could answer that. But I would caution you that if you kind of put out a bold and striking metaphor to set yourself apart when you're applying for grad school or applying for a job, there is some risk that somebody will say, oh, well, tell me about your most recent shooting competition. You say, well, let me think here. So, but I would encourage you to, you don't have to do it this year or certainly during this class period, but over a period of years, try to think about a metaphor and see if there's a way that you could work it into a practical value. And in a perfect world, you would develop one that you could really live by and hold those principles really close to your heart and really live by them. And if you enunciate and execute those statements in either a metaphor or something to do with your life story, often that will touch and ring somebody's bell when they're reviewing your materials, because again, you're all going to have very similar backgrounds, very similar course preparations. You've probably all written papers. By the time you graduate, many of you will have published and presented at professional meetings. And so still you're in a tough head-to-head competition. And something like this I would encourage you to think about, and I'd be happy to review any of your metaphors if you want to send them to me for a critique. Let's have one more or two, and then we'll open it up for questions, and then we'll be done. Come down. Do you remember it, or would you like to look it up?
I need to see it.
Okay.
I remember bits and
What was yours about?
running.
Oh, the
I
marathon.
kind of like threw it together, so.
A marathon?
No, it's like, I'm like the miles on my shoes or something.
Let's see if you...
I think I said like, life is like the miles on my shoes, or kind of just threw it together. I don't know. Yeah, I'll help you out. I turned mine in real early too. So.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
It might be on the very first.
All right. It might be because I turned mine in real early. Nah. Yeah, this one. Thank you.
Okay.
Alright, so I have mileage on my shoes, for I'm always running on new trails, pacing towards new goals, and living life 1 mile at a time. And I guess I chose that just because, like college, it's like a new path for me, or like being on the cross country team is a new path, and like going away and being away from my sisters, so everything's like a new experience, and I just want to go out and have fun and live life. So that's what it is.
Excellent. Okay. One more.
Come on. Come on, front row, let's go. Come on.
You know these are the best metaphors right down here. Huh? No? Second row?
Right now. You kidding? Come on.
I did pick out a few that, honest, this was, I thought about, well, I'll rank, the top 5 or 10. I couldn't do it. I just put a little star by a few of them. Here's some. Well, one caught my eye because it said, since the 7 weeks I've been enrolled at Eastern, my study style has been an airplane ride. The airplane takeoff was a little shaky, but was able to make it into the air. For the most part, the studying has been smooth, planned out, under control, until I experienced turbulence by having a whirlwind of assignments thrown my way. I then have to buckle in, devote the time needed to studying, and endure the ride. Eventually, the turbulence stops, and the ride becomes under control again. The study style of my first 7 weeks has been an airplane ride. Pretty good, huh? Life is a backpack. People wear them in different ways. They go everywhere the owner takes them. The contents are almost always disorganized and hard to find, but they're always there. And in many cases, the backpacks tend to get lost or misplaced along the way. These are a few reasons why I describe life as a backpack. When I say people carry them in different ways, this shows that everyone carries out their lives in a different manner. The fact that they go everywhere the owner goes shows that no matter what direction you take your life, it is always going to show you that in life we all have plans, and those plans don't always go through the way we want them to, or they get completely shoved off to the side to make room for new plans. Then there's a simple fact that backpacks get lost or misplaced. If the backpack resembles life and it is lost, well, everybody dies at some point in time. And when the backpack is misplaced, I'm saying the person's life diverted off track, and when in the direction that made it hard for them to get back to their original plans for their life, it may not make sense at first because the explanations are a little shaky. But if you really think about it, life is a backpack, and once you put it down, there's no way to pick it back up. Now, we could, critique these, but we won't. I appreciate having the opportunity to just get a glimpse into some of your thoughts. Whether it was perfect in every way, whether it was a little wordy, we don't care. Life is like a river. Life is like a Rubik's Cube. The metaphor that could describe my mentality on life would be I'm a thief. Now, I'm aware that this has a very negative connotation, so I will go on and elaborate on it just a little. I am a thief in the sense of if I want something, I'm going to take it. This does not mean I'm necessarily going to steal things, but in life I feel that very few handouts are given to anyone. Something that is handed out, however, is an opportunity. Like a thief, I feel it's my job to take every opportunity that is given to me and use it to my advantage to live a better life. This can be applied to almost all aspects of life, from seizing an extra credit opportunity in a classroom to pursuing a job that has recently become available. I am a thief who takes every opportunity he can get his hands on. Kind of unusual. I can almost guarantee whoever reads that first line, they're going to say, what? And they're going to put that stack of application over to the side and maybe read through his other materials or her other materials. All right? A little risky, but captures a lot of what I think we all might like to live by. Every person is the author to their own book. We have the freedom to illustrate our books with the choices we make and how we choose to live our lives. No one else can write it for us. Every person's story is unique. Short, simple, good. Lessons from the art of juggling. I once read this metaphor while working on another project for school. I can relate to it because I've learned many valuable life lessons from juggling the multiple tasks that I have to do. This metaphor reminds me of all the lessons I have learned during my lifetime. So someone might ask you, so how do you like EIU? Or how do you like your most recent trip to Germany that you had? And almost anything you can probably think, well, it was kind of like an airplane ride, or it was like this or that. I think you'll find some value in metaphors. I'm a violinist. My life is a melody composed of many parts. Sometimes the tune I play is fast and cheerful, while other times it's slow and somber. It is my unique song that describes me and no one else. A blade of grass, I blow where the wind pushes and be flexible and accepting of it. Be cut and embrace change, and when the seasons come, die and grow again. My philosophy in life is a simple metaphor, is just that, be a blade of grass. Life is simple and things can never be planned. You have to be open and try all new things, go wherever life takes you, because somehow in some way it always ends up being the right place for you. Things are always going to happen in your life that bring you to highs and low points. It's a never-ending cycle, and so on. My life is an apple pie. Many ask why that might be so, but really it's quite obvious. Sometimes my life is messy, just like a pie with not enough flour. Any of you ever make a pie? Or brownies or anything, you got to get the mixture just right. When a pie doesn't have enough flour, it can get mushy and moist. My life can often get like this. Sometimes I get hurt and I cry like the pie. Sometimes life can be sour, just like when I use the wrong kind of apples in the pie. If you use too yellow of an apple, a pie isn't tasty. There are some days when I feel like everything in my life is going wrong and that my life is, well, sour. There are many ways in which an apple pie can go bad. If a person can perfect the recipe, it will end up as a perfect, flaky, and tasty pie. Similarly, in my life, I've found that even though it may take a lot of work in order to be happy and enjoy life, I have to put together ingredients like forgiveness, optimism, and ambition in order to make my perfect apple pie. Often on an application for a job or to grad school, they'll say, what are the most important elements of blah, blah, blah? So you need to think of those, not necessarily those words, but those are good. Forgiveness, optimism, ambition. Those aren't bad. My metaphor to life is what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I've used this to help me get through track practices, schoolwork, and many tough life situations. I think it's given me a more positive way to look at bad situations, as it implies that even something that seems difficult now can benefit you in the long run. I think this metaphor can also be used to describe me because I think of myself as a strong person who is not deterred by difficult situations. When I face something difficult, I use my best efforts to push through it. When life hands me something I have trouble facing, I think of this metaphor and my dad telling me about it years ago to help me get through my first track season, and things always seem to get better. I would describe myself as a plain-looking book. The cover may seem boring and uninteresting, but when opened, tells a wonderful story. This describes me because I'm a quiet person, and when people first meet me, they may feel that I'm nothing special. But when they get to know me, I'm a good person and a great friend. It's like the old saying, never judge a book by its cover. That's a good one. My life is like a weekend, something that you always look forward to, but always seems just a little farther away than you wish. There's always so much you plan to accomplish, but never seem to have enough time. Weekends always slip away too fast, leaving you wishing for more. I have a motto I say all the time: live for the weekend. There are so many different ways that one can describe their life in a metaphorical way. There's life as a journey, life as a dream, life as a dance, a battle, a party. People can use any term really to describe their life and how they feel about it, their life. I believe in order to make a metaphor for one's own life, though, they have to truly understand their life. People cannot put a label on their life until they are comfortable and know exactly who they are and where they stand in life. For me, I would not be able to create a metaphor for my life yet. As of now, my metaphor is life is a mystery. I do not truly understand life, and until I do, it will always be a mystery. Life is like a bottle of perfume. They're just great ones there. A couple more, and then we'll close it out. The world is a roller coaster ride through the haunted house tunnel of love and the hall of mirrors all at once. You can't control it. You can't get off until the end. The only things you can do are hold on as tight as possible and try not to get too banged up. The metaphor that I have created by life to life is simple. Life is like a paintbrush. I used this metaphor recently in a presentation I gave in speech class, and it describes my philosophy on life and the way I wish to live it perfectly. When I say life is like a paintbrush, I mean two things. One, that a paintbrush is merely a tool in the hands of whoever holds it, and that a paintbrush creates a masterpiece step by step. And the little details make the beauty of the whole picture. So life is a tool in the hands of those who live it. We make it as good or as bad as it gets. And our efforts and our outlook make life what it is for us individually. Also, the small things of life, the finer details, are what makes life enjoyable and worth living. It's the moments that we don't see in the big picture until we look real close that causes us to stop stressing about the big picture. Therefore, in my eyes, life is a paintbrush, and we're all the artists that hold it. The bass line, my life is a stage. This is a true musician. I'm always performing. The performances I enjoy most are those that speak volumes. In music, the bass line is the foundation for the rest of the composition. Who wrote that? Drums are the foundation. All right, I won't alter this. It's their life. Okay. A good foundation leads to an outstanding performance on stage and in life. Constant performing for audiences can be difficult when the foundation is not present. The rest of the composition cannot keep time without the firm foundation. The bass line is everything in music. The foundation is everything in life. Oh, brother. That was a good one, except the wrong musical instrument. But being a student requires an individual to be solid, a liquid, and a gas. They must often be hard-headed in their goals, though they sometimes have to fill a mold. And yet they must be able to handle the pressure, lest they explode. Good. I really enjoyed this. I hope you've enjoyed it. Any closing comments or thoughts or suggestions? One more volunteer? Somebody that's been nagging at them. They've wanted to stand up and give it, but they just now have worked up the nerve. Thanks. Appreciate it.